join me on a warm, sunny South African winter's afternoon. This is Cliff on Cars. I'm Cliff. Welcome to Cliff on Cars and Things. I'm Cliff. Next to me is a T3 VW Caravelle. If you know anything about South African legends, then you will know about this Kombi. You may call it an MPV where you come from, but in South Africa, we call this a Kombi. If you talk about the 325 IS BMW and the VW VR6, please, whenever you mention those cars, never forget the T3 2.6i Caravelle, because this is up there with those legends. Bottle green, very popular color in the time, sitting on 15-inch wheels. If you look at the A-pillar, it's very upwards, telling you that this car is not a car from the 2000s. This is an early 90s vehicle. We still have a mouse T-bar in front here. All the things that make the recipe for a perfect T3 Caravelle. Now, unlike Kombis of today, you only have one opening door on the passenger side and not on the driver's side. Although this Kombi did come from factory with a side step on the driver's side, although you cannot get in on this side. Big electric mirrors. Somewhat similar to the cars we see today and not the cars of its time. But this vehicle did have big mirrors at the time. And they're still big by today's standards, by the way. How do you know it's a Caravelle? How do you know it's special? The quad lights in the front tell you so. The lesser version of this vehicle, the microbus, comes with the round lights, looking similar to a City Golf or a Golf Mark II. But the Caravelle has a square light, and it is badged Caravelle up here in the top. As I said before, you only get a sliding door on the passenger side. Let's open here and have a look inside. You will see that your seat is directly above the front tire. So as the suspension travels, so do you, giving you the most pleasant ride ever. This is something similar to the air ride you get on the truck seat. But instead here it's all about the suspension. So when you ride up here, as the vehicle pushes forward, you rise and you drop. And it's absolutely spectacular. Electric windows in the front. I'm pretty sure if you're familiar with Mark II Golf or Jetta, the executives have got the same huge button for the electric windows. So it's carried on over into the Caravelle. The dash is late 80s, 90s, very simple. It's just got a bit of a groove over here for you to put something on, but once you're moving, it doesn't do much for you. Things just slide off. But one thing that they did improve in the last generations, of which this vehicle is you got a great place to put your stuff on over here, and down by the gear knob, you'll see you've got cup holders, which only came in the last generation, and the exclusive generation, which was the top of the line, of which this is not. And here it is. If you lived in South Africa in the 80s, late 80s and the 90s, this was the pinnacle of family transport. This is before the days Mercedes-Benz had a V Class to wow you. This was the top. This was the cream de la cream. Any family had this vehicle, just spelled money. If you had this in your driveway, then everybody knew that you had money. Long seats, long benches, first row and second row. The last generation, you also got headrests. But something more interesting, Pinda, if you could come close and let's have a look at the aircon system. There's never been another Kombi to come out in South Africa with an aircon system like this. Starting out right in the front, you've got the two air vents here for the passenger. You've got the two air vents there for the driver. You've got the fan. You've got the cooling for the aircon. Then you've got a shaft that runs all the way to the back, and in it, it's featuring air vent for the passenger this side, air vent for the center passenger, and air vent for the passenger on the other side. Not to forget, over there, the top, you've also got an air vent, and this goes all the way to the back with reading lights. Another interesting point on this vehicle is that Volkswagen had introduced the armrests. So this really is a long distance cruiser, this Kombi. You sit here in comfort, and the engine, by the way, is at the back. So when you sit here, you listen to the lovely note of the engine 2.6 singing behind you. You've got ashtrays for cigarettes, and you've got charging point, cigarettes charging point. At this time, this was unheard of in cars to have an extra cigarette point or charging point in your car, because cell phones were not even the thing. But you could, however, use it to charge the optional fridge which came with this Kombi. Okay, let's go to the back and have a look at the Kombi. Before I go, yes, take a look at that cargo net. In South Africa, you would see cargo nets in the early days on SUVs, a very few SUVs which we had back then. But this Kombi is the first mainstream vehicle we saw which came with a cargo net to hold your cargo when you load the boot up to the top. Let me take you to the engine bay. Boot/engine bay. This car is in such good condition. I mean, look at that. Clean. This car has really been looked after. It is impressive. And here we are. A 2.6 ADV motor in all its might. Look at what we have here. Cassette. This car is in its original standard with its original Grundig cassette tape radio. You've got a lighter over here. You've got a very small glove box that's just going to fit your service books and a couple of things, nothing big. Ashtray up here. You've got your climate control over here. Very big, thick German steering wheel. I did not remember it to be that thick from my previous experience in this vehicle, in a 2.6, but jumping in one today and driving it, this steering wheel is quite thick and quite big. I'd have to drive it for a week to get used to it again. Gearbox. So first gear is at the bottom. In South Africa, we refer to a dogleg gearbox as isandla semfene, the hand of a baboon. So if you have any experience with baboons, you will see the way they move their hands. So the hand action of the dogleg, in South Africa, refer to it as the hand of a baboon, because the baboon seems to move his hand in that kind of action at times. All right, cup holders. We're not using cell phones at this time, but it would seem as if this was something planned for the future. There you have it. The first generation of these vehicles didn't have a carpet down here, but instead they had this grooved plastic covering. And I must say it was quite slippery, but I'm glad to see that later generations, they've moved to a carpet and it seems more comfortable and it won't be as slippery. Front seats, armrests on both sides as well. This vehicle was luxury, and that is why I said it was the rich who drove this vehicle. So you look at the armrests, you look at the finishing of the material. VW did a great job on this vehicle, and South Africans love them. We love them so much, we all want to have one in our yard just to take us back to a time when these were running around. I remember I had one of my own. I had a white 2.6. I actually bought it in Cape Town and drove it all the way back. Lovely. And next to it in my garage was my 2.6 Caravelle. And next to that was my 16 valve MK2 Jumbo Executive Golf. How I wish I had them both, but I don't have them anymore. The VW Caravelle Kombi. Quick stats. 0 to 100, 14.5 seconds. Top speed, 160 kilometers per hour. Kilowatts, 100. By today's standards, that's no power at all. But in the early 90s, 100 kilowatts meant something. And today, you need to be a petrol head to understand that 100 kilowatts can give you excitement. Because all classic cars are not fast, but petrol heads love them. The seating position in this Kombi is perfect. You're sitting as if you're sitting in your lazy boy at home, with your 2 armrests and your legs down, your knees bent. The pedals, the clutch and the brake pedal are faced up towards you, and the accelerator is big and recessed towards the floor, and it makes for very comfortable driving. Steering wheel, it's big. I mean, dare I say it's bigger than a truck steering wheel today's truck by today's standards. Not only is it big, it's fat as well. It's a thick steering wheel. Having said that, I just enjoy being in this vehicle. It reminds me of my 2.6 Caravelle and the years that I spent with it. In South Africa, we no longer drive these vehicles as a means of going from A to B. We drive them purely for the passion and the love for them. The 2.6 Caravelle will always have a place in South Africa. There's no T5, no T6, no V Class that can ever take the spot that's held by the T3 2.6 Caravelle. It is a legend, stamped in the history of South Africa, and that's not going to change, not anytime soon. I'm actually driving around the parking lots because I want to park it where I can see it. And yeah, just to be safe. Forgotten how much you really have to drive this car. You have to drive this car. Nothing happens easy here. The gears, you've got to work them. You've got to reach down and change the gears. The steering wheel is big and cumbersome, and you need all your arms and all your strength to turn the steering wheel. But hey, it's part of the fun, part of the joy. And I'm just glad I'm having one more chance, one last power ditch in a T3 2.6 Caravelle. The engine is all the way at the back, so you don't get much engine noise, except when you're putting it beyond 4,000 revs and you hear it hissing at the back there. Suspension, sublime. As I said, you're sitting on top of the springs, so you are part of the suspension. When it travels, you travel, and it's so soft and just so wonderful. I can't put it in words for you. I've got the aircon blowing, and as I showed you the aircon earlier on, with all these vents, I've just got it on one, and it's just blowing cool in here. Well, it's a winter's day. It's not very hot, but it's a bit warm outside. See, I've got my jersey on, but it's not a normal summer's day here in South Africa. I've driven a 2.6 many times down this road. I've had the privilege of doing that. And this specific 2.6 is in great condition because it's not so far from what I remember how they drive. But we're climbing up the hill now, and you can hear that 2.6 hissing back there. Only 100 kilowatts. It's not fireworks. But it's special. Very special. One thing I remember about a Caravelle T3 Caravelle is that it doesn't do very well with crosswinds and head-on winds. And right now we're experiencing a head-on wind with a slight crosswind. Nothing major, but it is unsettling the vehicle. When you drive a T3 Caravelle against very strong winds, it does tend to lift the front of the vehicle. It's not a very nice drive when the wind is blowing very hard. As a matter of fact, I would not advise to take it out on a very windy day. This is a picnic car, picnic day. Take your kids out to the park. On the exclusive version, you've got the table, you've got the fridge, and you can just chill and enjoy it. Here in South Africa, the T3 is always kitted out with a very strong aftermarket sound system with the woofers, subwoofers, and all of that, and tweeters. It really is a party bus. There's even a song called Caravelle. Very popular song. When that track comes on, everybody wishes they had a Caravelle. It's always a pleasure to drive something from the past. And you get that nostalgia, you get that overload, the sensory overload. At the same time, it feels so familiar. So familiar. I just feel like I'm back in high school. There we go. Big steering wheel. Big turn. So we're not gonna take the national route, the N4. We're gonna take, we're on the way to a township, by the way, and that is this vehicle's natural habitat. I did say it was a rich man's car before, right? Rich family's car before, but however, now it's purely a cult car, and you'll find it in the townships, blasting the music. Girls everywhere. It's just a ride. So we're crossing the Crocodile River, across the mighty Crocodile River, and we're taking the old road to the township and not the freeway, because this is where this vehicle dominated in its time. And just driving into this old road, it's just going to be such a flashback for me. Oh, hear that? And you don't need to rev this vehicle out to have fun. 2,500, sweet spot. Sweet spot. Drive in the T3 is very reassuring. It has a very steady drive when there isn't a wind blowing against again, so comfortable. So comfortable. If you thought that modern day combis were the first to offer you a passage to the back in between the two front seats, no, they were not. It was a VW Kombi that started that, even way back. And that tradition continues today, T5, T6 onwards. In South Africa, VW has really struggled to replace this Kombi with this T5. The T5 and the T6, which is basically the same vehicle, just a bit of upgrades here and there, they have not been able to knock the T3 Kombi off its throne. I don't see the T5 and T6 living up to be legends. Also because of the mechanical problems, turbos always failing, injectors giving problems. Unlike the 2.6 and the 2.5 and the 2.1 on the T3s, they were very reliable vehicles. So as far as reliability is concerned, this was the last for VW in South Africa. And that is why this car remains a cult car, because it's cheap to maintain, wonderful to drive, it's comfortable inside, very spacious. As a matter of fact, I sold my 2.6 Caravelle and went up to a 2.5 T5 diesel. Biggest mistake ever. Biggest mistake ever. My T5 gave me so much trouble. It spent so much time at the dealership. It was turbo 2 times. It was injectors twice. I countless manifolds on the T5 2.5. As a matter of fact, at some point it had broken down and it was at the dealership, and I went to the local spa to buy some groceries, and I walked out of the spa and my T3 2.6 drove past me. I was so angry. I was so upset. I could not believe that there is a vehicle that I had sold and upgraded to a newer Caravelle, expecting the most wonderful ownership experience, and I was totally disappointed. Totally disappointed. And that is why, as for now, for as long as VW is running the T5, T6 shapes with the 2.5 and the 2-liter bi-turbo, count me out. We'll see the next generation. Steering wheel position. I feel like I'm driving, well, I feel like I'm sitting in a bus, driving a bus. Have you seen how bus drivers sit and the steering wheel is a bit low and it's not upward, it's more angled lower? It feels the same here. I'm not saying it feels like I'm driving a bus, literally. No, the drive is beautiful, but the position of the steering wheel. I can see my feet down there. You don't get that in modern cars anymore because the dashboard is so big. And once again, everything is so easy, so easily laid out here. I can see everything. And there isn't much. As a matter of fact, it's just what you need. There isn't much, it's just what you need, exactly what you need. Climate control, radio, hazard, cigarette lighter, cluster in front of you, mirror control, window control, door handles. Bob's your uncle. Aircon. Unlike today's cars, littered with buttons, an array of buttons. ESP, lock, unlock, doors, lock windows, unlock windows, all of that. But you don't get that here. You just get the basics. Simple driving. Stripped back. And I wish today's cars could be like that as well. As a matter of fact, my Kia Sedona has gone into a dealership because it's having some electrical problems. The radio's dead, the lights on the dash don't light up, the rear left sliding door window won't open and close. That's a 2020 model. This vehicle is from the early 90s. The cluster works. all the lights come on, the windows open and shut, the electric windows. The radio works. So, have we really moved forward? Or is the new technology just not as reliable as the old technology? And sitting here right now, I don't need special technology. Unlock the windows, lock the windows. You know, even if I had wind down windows, it'd be good enough, because I know for sure 5 years later it'll still be working. Hazards working. Thank you. Clock working. Oh well. So we're about to enter the township now. The stomping ground for a 2.6. There are some here. I know of one that is in good condition, but I don't know of any which are in this kind of condition. This T3 2.6 Caravelle is in excellent condition. Heat gauge, jet center. Got a bit of a play on the speedo dial, but on the clutch, but that can be expected. Most cars this age are doing that. Even my 300E W124 is doing that. I've tried to have it sorted a number of times. I'm going to try one more time with my new mechanic. I think he's going to get it right because he qualified on those cars. Oh, here we are. Welcome to the township, welcome to the ghetto, welcome to the hood. And no, the T3 Caravelle does not bump hip hop. You're gonna get Kwaito, you're gonna get Kom, you're gonna get Amapiano. That's it. If you want hip hop, maybe try a VW Polo or something. So what we're going to do now, we're going to gauge the reaction of some people when they see this vehicle. Ora?
Шутань. Sen şutanya rozi.
Ora zara buzara into kulo mole. Papo. Emachot.
Ready ready.
Hey, ewa. Ora zara. Avec vai.
Não é país.
Vai chegar aqui. Chega aqui, sim. Vou falar com o bambilho.
Eu não falo com o bambilho hoje. Eu não venho.
Sete.
Meu.
Exactly.
Ay.
Ekon.
100%.
Ah, mara ngiyabuza.
Nyalo ngifake ku-1 kuphela. Ibanza ngo. Ngifake ku-1 kuphela. Fresh. And what's nice that it's original.
Oh, so you got a cliff here. I'm going to my game.
Simple.
I still be it. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah?
Yeah, but I mean, you was about to say that call for club.
Yeah. Oh, but I think I 2.6 I'm saying T5, but it's only T5 is too much. Yeah, Swanga 2. Yeah, unless you like shield. Yeah, otherwise Swanga 2.
Yeah. Lá vou só.
Não, Fábio.
My friend wanted to Caravelle T3. Swanga 2.
Mas olha, puto, mas só funil.
Eh?
Eu não posso lá aqui, simple. Oh, mas é muito não não ile. Yes, puto.
Ah, yeah, out here then. Yeah, out here then.
What did you over to?
Not 20, no one.
Nothing. Yeah, original.
Isso já pega só
Original.
Isso chega no classroom.
Yeah.
Sorry, old.
So long here the original.
Puta, como você vai demorar? Mete polish, vai polish.
Yeah, a polish pen.
Aí na ras.
Next.
Aí vai chegar em você na hora.
Mete classroom,
Eu vou ver ele, isso é do cassete.
Original red. Grundig.
Yang van faster orang ini bola. Kalau kira kan jual itu kan pop misalnya faster.
Nama ele kia, bola mas ele kia quando eu vou jogar nesse.
Ela uma pedal.
Bola smooth, isso não
É aquele pedal, isso é original.
Original de Kombi.
Quando eu passo, Bernardo.
Ame pan.
Não sai pelo tem coisa.
Ah, akhona ama original ayo.
Akhona ne?
Yeah.
Khona ama original.
Yeah, laba vila original akhona.
Sure, and take baba, what you finna do? Mpita majita onke and this hamba ngama 2. Bomb City Guaido, sonke siyabasusa. I represent the OGs, bonke nyabavusa. Kudala season